Legend of Total War here, and today I'm going to be going over patch 6.3 devblog. This came out about an hour ago. I'll leave a link to it in the description, but we've gone through enough of these to know what we're going to do here. Just going to go through it and sort of not read it out word for word and give you my thoughts on what the changes are going to be. It's primarily focusing on the Lizardmen and Tomb Kings, which is good. Both of these factions have been favorites of mine in the past. And yeah, just let you know my thoughts on these changes that are being proposed. But the patch itself seems to be coming out next week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, who knows. And there'll be additional patch notes this Friday, just expanding upon this information. So Liam Newman is at the head of this one, it seems. I think this is the first time we've heard Liam Newman in these dev blogs, but I've actually heard of Liam previously, just rumors and stuff like that, and really good worker. So I'm good. It's good to see him getting some light shined upon his work here. Okay, so let's start with the Tomb Kings. So Tomb Kings are so this is an introduction to it. Okay, areas that we're focusing on improvement. Simply put, pace. Long distances between the books of Nagash, locations in a far slower early to mid-game than other races, hardly something worthy of the majesty the Tomb Kings deserve. Yeah, that's right. They tend to have a very slow start compared to many of the other factions, largely due to their restrictive nature of getting multiple armies, because everyone else can get multiple armies quite early. But if you're playing a Cetra, for example, one of your starting enemies is probably going to be Scarbrand, and since you're stuck at one army until probably around turn 14 at the earliest, it's difficult to overcome coronate units with skeleton garbage, because not like you just pump out Tomb Guard. And so you oftentimes have to stand near your garrisons and just hope that you can manage it, which is quite frustrating and slow pace of the campaign, because you start off right next to Scarbrand, and Scarbrand's gotten a lot more aggressive than he was at the very beginning stages of Immortal Empires. Canopic Jars can feel like they tail off mid-campaign and feel like a resource that could be used for more than solely increasing army capacity. Yeah, so one of the problems with Canopic Jars currently is that in the early game it's fine, the amount that you get, but in the late game you just can't seem to get enough of them, and the best use of them is usually to increase your army capacity, like what's being said here. And in Warhammer 2, at least we had an exploit that you were able to, or a cheese I guess, recruit a new lord, put points into Canopic Jar Hoarder, and then disband them, then recruit a new lord, and then rinse and repeat. And the more lords that you recruited and just left in reserve, you would just passively get more and more Canopic Jars each turn without any real cost involved. But they actually removed that in Total War Warhammer 3. Lords have to be on the campaign map, active, in order to be providing Canopic Jars. So without actually providing you with a particularly good means of gaining Canopic Jars, because no matter what battle you fight, the post-battle loot option is 30 Canopic Jars. You fight one Skaven, 30 Canopic Jars. You fight 4 full stacks of Skaven, or whatever, 30 Canopic Jars. And that doesn't really scale well to the late stage of the campaign. Technology, tree, and landmark felt like they lacked impact. So I've added more meaningful bonuses to unlock. Yep, okay, that sounds good. Personally, sometimes I just want to get a few of the main players in the race together to have a party. Can't do that. Yeah, so confederations are coming for Tomb Kings. This is great. One of the things I liked least about the Tomb Kings previously was that you couldn't confederate anyone, which at the moment I believe Tomb Kings and Vampire Coast might be the only factions that are completely unable to confederate. But it's good to see that there's been some steps taken into consideration with this. And also they've made it, I think, quite lore-friendly, because Archon and Cetra cannot be confederated. Meaning that if you're going to collect the most legendary lords, you would want to play as either Archon or Cetra, because they both have the capacity to get 3 of them. Whereas if you start as Khalida or Katep, then you could only get either Khalida or Katep confederated. So that's I don't think there's a huge amount of incentive to pick these two, especially considering that unless their faction bonuses are changing, which you didn't mention in this. Archon starts off with an extra army capacity, so at the moment I feel like Archon has the best campaign for, in order to just do stuff, especially on higher difficulties. Start off with 2 armies, allowing you to actually deal with enemies that have stronger units than yours, which is basically everyone. But yeah, it's good that Cetra can grab all this, and it makes sense that neither Archon or Cetra would bend the knee to anyone else. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, currently Cetra cannot be vassalized, but the other ones, I'm not sure about Archon, but Khalida and Katep can actually be made a vassal, because Cetra doesn't serve. So we believe this respects the law around the Tomb Kings while adding enough of what is available to the other races in the game. I agree. I mean, I like to get all of them, but I understand that there is lore that's important as well. So I think this has worked the best that they possibly could. I kind of wish they would go back to the Warriors of Chaos a little bit and do a little bit more work to allow that. For the other ones that can't confederate, give them at least one other legendary lord that they can confederate. So, for example, maybe if Festus was able to confederate the other champions of Chaos except for Village and vice versa, basically whichever one they're opposed to, they would not be able to confederate. I don't know, something along those lines. Or maybe like Azazel can only confederate Sigvald and vice versa. Who knows? But that would be good to see. Because currently it's just like Archaon and Be'lakor, they're the best campaigns because you can just get all of them. Anyway, so Canopy Jobs, they are now gained from post-battle kills, similar to that of meat as slaves for the Ogre/Dark Elves. Okay, so is this based on battle kills or by battle captives? Because this can be a bit misleading with this stuff here. The battle... Also, someone explained to me in a comment in a recent video about how battle captives work, because we had a battle fairly recently where I actually captured more troops than what the enemy had. Like, they showed up with, I don't know, 500 troops and I captured 600. And they gave a really good explanation, and, you know, even after all these many hours, still learning something new. But basically, the amount of captives that you can potentially take is not based on how many enemies you go up against, but what the maximum number of those, the units of those armies would have been present if they were at full strength. So, for example, let's just say you fight the first battle and they have 1,000 troops and they're all at full strength and you capture 100% of them. So you capture all 1,000. Then in another case, let's just say that exact same army was completely 50% damaged, but every unit still existed. They were just 50% damaged, right? You go in, so their maximum potential is 1,000 troops, but they're only presenting 500. You can still capture 1,000 troops. So I think it's maybe a bit of an oversight with that. But now it actually makes sense why I would always seemingly capture and get so many post-battle loot rewards after smashing an army the second time. They'd be like, well, I only killed like 10 troops this time because it's just the remnants of what was left. But it was about the potential of that unit, which most of it was gone anyway. So that was really interesting. Pick your poison. You can spend them on Nehekar and Decrease to get a quick cash injection, some research rate, or Garrison Sally. So I'm assuming that's similar to what the Kislevites got a little while back, which is good. Will Faction's getting that. I don't have an opposing to that, although the Tomb King garrisons are quite rubbish. So, you know, you'd be sending them out against like only one unit, I guess, if they were raiding you. Otherwise, they're just going to die anyway. And they've added a few additional banners to the Mortuary Cult. So it'll be interesting to see how good they are. Skills. We've given all characters at least one skill. Tomb Princes now have another they can choose. Dynasty or Legendary Lords also have a skill, Never Say Die, which removes the wounds attribute, something different for each character type. Okay, one thing, I'm just being anal about this. These run-off sentences are getting real fucking annoying to read. Okay, so you don't need to put a comma everywhere. It's okay to put a full stop here and there. There's just such a long run-off sentence. It's like correcting your English there a bit. It's so many commas. But anyway, I got this. But anyway, it's good though. Extra skills is definitely good. Giving you more options to customize your characters is good, and this is something that Tomb Kings have fallen behind on. In fact, they fell behind on it even in the like Warhammer 2, when you only had 39 potential skill points in your maximum level 40. But with the additional 10, most of the characters, they're maxed out. You've got everything before they reach that point. So providing with more skills is definitely useful, especially considering that a lot of the skills now, like mounts, will just be provided for you without spending a skill point. Where in Warhammer 2, you actually have to spend a skill point to get the mount. Anyway, but yeah, it's all good, and these ones can now remove the wounds attribute, which I don't feel like is a massive penalty. You drop below 25% health, and you suffer like a 10% debuff on your weapon strength and your speed, which is useful in some cases for sure to get the enemy wounded, but it's not massive. So removing that is a very small impact. Technology tree, plenty of changes have gone on here, ranging from decrease to research penalty dynasties. Okay, so that is currently at 30, and now they've reduced it to 20. So that means you just need to capture fewer settlements and increase your research rate less in order to keep it at 100. and also additional effects are being added. So that's good to see. We don't have all the information about what's being changed, but this is good. This will make it so you can get through the tech tree a lot easier. And this will also make it better for players that turtle a little bit more, that don't capture lots of territory really quickly to get that research rate. So some players like to play it slow, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you like to play it slow and not play Tomb Kings, you can very quickly end up with next to no research rate because you've got no means of capturing, of getting your research rate up fast enough. Although if you're playing as anyone starting in Nehekara, there's always Repance's defeat trait to farm, and also Ikit Claws not too far away, which will give you research rate. So each dynasty has a small increase for unit capacities, which is also good because they rely way too heavily currently on just low tier crap. Their units are free, but it's just have to build buildings everywhere in order to get the capacity of the Tomb Guard and various other constructs up. So it's good that some of it's going to be in the tech tree as well. Each hero capacity also increases the recruit rank of that hero type. That's fine. Okay. So yep, some examples there. Of course, this is how it's visually going to look. So yeah, some improvements in there, but how it looks visually. It also seems as though these top ones up here, they're all requiring canopic jars, where previously some of them required money. So that's fine, but it's just interesting to see they've removed the money aspect of it, and it's just all the canopic jars now. For the top. Oh, the money's down here now. That's where it is. Okay, cool. Well, and also this isn't the full tech tree because it's the first, second, and third dynasty, but there's supposed to be an extra 3 more. Books of Nagash changes. So basically just change the locations of them and the effects of these books, because apparently some people felt that they were underwhelming. Some of the effects were a little bit underwhelming, but other ones were particularly good. And yeah, some of them could be a bit far-flung. And so it seems as though they're moving them a little bit closer. So this is the example of what currently Khalida's locations are, and that what it's going to be here. So you don't have to go to Ulthuan anymore. They've moved these a little bit further to home, which is good. That allows you to get that sorted a lot quicker. Because the thing is, by the time you get all of these, you've pretty much finished the campaign, because it takes so long to do that, unless you're really hyper-focusing on getting that done. Books of Nagash effects. So army capacity, says the 5th book of Nagash. Unit capacity increase, and then Dune restoration. So they're going to provide the demon effect, I guess, for constructs now. So if they get destroyed, there's a chance of them coming back, which is good because they do have a habit of getting destroyed. They can be quite squishy, especially now that they're... I suppose they always crumbled, didn't they? Yeah, it was the Cathayan ones that didn't crumble, that they turned them into a crumbling effect now. Also the pyramid effect. So the pyramid, I imagine what they mean is I'm assuming, is the landmark at each of the special pyramids within Nehekara. So Cetra's pyramid and various other ones provided a landmark that you can build that cost 1 growth, and usually had a fairly small global bonus to it, but if you got all of them, it added up because it's quite a few. So they've adjusted it and made them more specialized. So Great Pyramid of Cetra, now giving expendable to Skeleton Warrior and Spearman unit, which I think that's fairly low impact, because these are units that don't rout anyway. But that being said, if something is crumbling, that will still act as a reduced morale effect for nearby units. It's just that routing units, because they run back through your line, they can cause routing on units that had already routed, basically. And so you could actually end up with a bit of a chain reaction on really damaged units. Whereas with this, that won't happen because they don't route. So yeah, I think that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But whatever. That's just one example as well. Lizardmen. So yeah, overall the stuff here with the Tomb Kings, I'm pretty happy with all the stuff here, especially with the Confederations. Got no problem with that at all. But it looks like it's an improvement for the Tomb Kings. Not a major rework, but they did clearly try to say that it was just a bit of an update. So try to manage expectations. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe these guys will get another one, but let's not hold our breath over it. Okay, so Lizardmen now. Areas that we're focused on tweaking and improving. So technology tree, economy, big dinosaurs need some love, skill trees need sprucing up. So technology tree, to cut to the chase, we have improved it significantly, adding new effects, removing most building requirements, and improving the consistently with what units gain effects from certain areas, as well as some bits of spice dotted around. Some screenshots on the layout below. So yeah, loads of different... there's 2 different tech trees, loads of different techs. The current Lizardmen tech tree is quite large, and some of the effects are really good. So I never really thought that the current Lizardmen tech tree was bad. There were just some of them like really low effects, and then some other ones like really, really freaking good ones were just mismatched, I suppose. So maybe they sort of balance that out a little bit. We can't see what the effects are of this at the moment. But yeah, they've reorganized it into 2, and what the effects are of them, I'll just have to wait and see there. So this one here is this is the military side of the. I'm sorry, this is Nakai's totem tech tree, retain the uniqueness. So he's got to change as well. It's just, I don't know why they need to change him. Yeah, like I thought it was fine the way it was, because he had quite a unique tech tree. So this is for the other Lizardmen, and this one here is for Nakai. But yeah, that all looks good. What the actual effects are, I need to have a look done. Okay, so as for economy, we saw your feedback on Lizardmen economy and felt that it only really worked when you reach scale, which wasn't that fun as you could constrain you pretty hard in the early game. Yeah, so Lizardmen don't make much money in the early stages of the campaign because their economy building doesn't like a ton. But once you start getting all the different effects going, then they can really start making a fair bit of cash later down the track. So they were sort of backloaded in terms of their economy. Whereas a lot of economies in the game are front-loaded. For example, High Elves, all their best economy buildings are right at the start. To address this, we tweaked the resource building so they now also provide a low amount of treasury. Okay, so that's a good one because there wasn't really a hell of a lot of value in most of the trade resource buildings. You'd just be like, especially the wood building, right? You build the wood and it just provides you with wood and no additional effects, which is fine if you've got a trade partner, but if you don't have a trade partner, which is kind of the case with Lizardmen because they tend to be not that friendly even towards other Lizardmen, you just end up with a building that provides you with nothing. So it's good that if it provides you with a bit of something until you've got that trade all sold off. Buildings, there has been a lot on number nudging, increasing, decreasing some numbers a small amount. Plenty of the values didn't seem right in Warhammer 3. So building costs, construction times, and outputs have all changed across the board. In addition to that, we've added another tier to the Dread Saurian chain. Having a cap of 1 per province always felt a bit sad. After all, the Lizardmen are the oldest. Okay. Yep, I have no issues with this, but we need to actually see what the effects are. But yeah, I guess you can potentially have 2 Dread Saurians recruited from each, or capacity increased from each building. And that's per province as well, because you have to be like a tier 5 building. Wallbreaker. So yeah, all the big dinos are getting Wallbreaker. That's fine. I guess that's somewhat going to be helpful if and when they do sort of like the major siege update that they were talking about with the Proving Grounds and what they're going to actually put into that. It seems like Wallbreaker is going to be quite handy. Skills. Almost every unique skill for Lizardmen has been closely looked at, with some gaining a replacement new effect. Some key takeaways. Heroes now have minor blessings available to them, smaller versions of the Lord's blessings. Lord Master Mundi now starts with Soul Quenching campaign, a change which is also requested by Lord Master Sotek, something that makes him a more formidable starting character. Yeah, so his start is a bit rough, because he's very weak in the early stages, because he's got loads of skill potential, but you're not going to have that on turn 1. But yeah, once you get him to like level 30, yeah, he's got all that stuff. He's super powerful. He's got slack. He's got his regen. He's fucking things up. So here, just making him a little bit stronger at the start will help him out a little bit. All heroes gained additional skills and their capacities and rank are now brought in line with that of the other races. So it probably means that their capacities are increased at a lower level. I imagine that's mainly going to be beneficial for the Skink Oracle, which is currently increased in capacity at like rank 5, tier 5. So it was difficult to get a lot of or even just a couple of Skink Oracles. So if I had to guess, I'd say they'd probably bring that down to tier 4, because the Skink Oracle is a really good hero. But there's a big difference between getting to tier 4 and tier 5 with the unit capacities, or hero capacities. And then I imagine things like Skink Chief might be increased in capacity at tier 2. Just having a guess without actually seeing any visuals. But that would be in line with other factions, which is what they mention here. Faction tinting, so this is just visual effects. That's great, but I don't care about that. I'm sure many of you guys do, and that's, like I said, that's awesome, but I couldn't care less about aesthetics like that. It's like, oh, but this one's got yellow and this one doesn't have yellow. Okay, whatever. It's like, whatever. I just don't care. So blessed units. So there are some additional blessed units coming for Lizardmen. Free units of patch 6.3 will be Blessed Chameleon Stalkers, Skink Cohort, yay, Blessed Skink Cohort Javelins, Ripidactyl Riders, Sacred Coxagors, Pterodon Riders, Razordon Hunting Packs, Salamander Hunting Packs, Ancient Salamanders, and Ancient Stegodons. So that's great. With the additional blessed units being put in the game, we took the opportunity to take a look at the spawning system. Yeah, that was my biggest concern. Not necessarily the variety of them, but this, like especially for everyone except for Nakai and Hinoan, you just have to wait for these missions that are just kind of random, and you can go quite a long time without getting a mission. And be like, well, how long do I have to wait before I can actually get the blessed unit that I actually want? The button is now always available, but recruiting the blessed units will require the use of spawning sequence, which can be earned via mission, commandments, and performing rites. Okay, so this is actually something that I mentioned as a suggestion. I'm not saying specifically that they took it on board, but basically, I'm just assuming, because based on what I said before, that you would gain spawning sequence as a resource based on the level of your commandments and maybe the type of commandment that you get. I don't know. And performing rites. So yeah, basically you just buy them now, but and so you do the spawning sequence missions, and it just gives you it gives you like points that you spend on them, rather than giving you specific ones. So again, I have no idea what the actual numbers are, but let's just say you gain 10 spawning sequence because of a mission, and this one here, this Chameleon Stalker, costs 1 spawning sequence, and this one here costs 10. Who knows? I'm just taking a guess. That makes a lot of sense, and that's way better than the current system, if that is actually the case. Rituals like sacrifices to Sotek and Nakai, temple rituals, add 1 to your pool, in addition to giving you resource, so you don't necessarily need to recruit the units that you have added to your pool. Cool, that's great. I have no issues with that whatsoever. I think this here is like the big win for this, and that really adds a lot of value, I guess, to the geomantic web. I'm curious to see though if the amount of spawning sequence is increased as you go up in the tier with the geomantic web, because blessed units are actually really bloody good. A lot of them. Some of the effects of the previous ones were a bit meh, but for example, the regular Stegodon, I'm pretty sure they've got the blessed Stegodon, they've got like double the amount of ammunition, and is it additional range? I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while since I played Lizardmen, and there's other ones that have like perfect vigor, if not that one as well, which is quite good. Trait rebalance. The basic. Okay, so this here is not specific to Lizardmen. This is just in general. The traits across the board are being changed, or improved. The basic trait system characters start with has been largely untouched since IE, in many cases since Warhammer 1. And some even prior to that. Well, I mentioned that. We've made plenty of changes in Warhammer 3, new abilities and effects, new levels that characters need to operate at. This rebalance is aimed at Warhammer 3ifying starting traits for non-legendary characters and Alberic. Okay. Why is Alberic mentioned here specifically? Well, I guess remember his character is getting some improvement traits of him. I mean, he's always felt quite generic. Okay, so determined. Yeah, previously this was pretty trashy. Leadership +3 on a Lord. Determined. Hit points +10%, 15 extra leadership and character. That is a massive benefit. Now I'm curious because knowledgeable is currently 15% character experience. So I don't think it's mentioned here about knowledgeable. Can we get 5 Winds of Magic faction wide back? Pretty please. Can we get that back? Or can we just get 1? I'll settle for 1. I'm sick of 0. Okay, that'd be great. I don't think we're gonna get that back, but that would be great. And also entrepreneur, come on, give us 1% faction wide income from all settlements. I mean, if you're gonna spend 60 influence, come on, 1%. We used to get 3, now we got 0, and it's a shit trait. Come on, please. But we'll see. Oh my god, legend begging to see you. What a shill. Fleet-footed, which actually has always been a pretty good trait, I felt like. And now it has Wayfarer on top of that. Cool. I mean, these are just a couple of them that are being changed. Virtue of Discipline. That's an improvement for sure. Intelligent. They really focus on the Bretonian ones here. Spell intensity for them. Confidence. Ramble Rouse. Okay. Chaos Familiar will give you more reduced cooldown and miscast base chance. Yeah, whatever. Keymaster. Bounce Spell, Infernal Gateway. That's good. That's a really freaking good spell. I'm hoping there's more than just this. They're just giving us a taste of it. That's fine. Greenskin skill update. Okay, so I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't like greenskins. I haven't liked them for a really long time. Just something about the greenskins just I just don't find them fun. So I am really behind in what the fuck is going on with the greenskins, because the amount of time that I've spent playing the greenskins since Omens of Destruction is not very much. I've probably spent more time in loading screens than I have in actually playing any greenskin campaign. I just don't really like them anymore. So I'm not on top of what their current system is. And so this here just looks like fucking gibberish to me, basically. So I'm going to have to just say, sorry, guys, I don't really know what's going on with the greenskins right now. And I can't really explain all this, because it's just like... Yep, it's cool. Like it's showing you stuff without the effects of it, and I don't know what the current effects are either. So I'm just like, I can't really comment on it. I haven't been playing greenskins. Unusual locations are being adjusted, or getting additions to. So I thought Mitch had been moved on to Warhammer 40k Total War. So it's good to see that he's still working on Warhammer 3. I mean, it was just an assumption I made because he was appearing in like all the blogs, and now he's coming back. So that's great. Because I quite like Mitch. I think he's quite talented. Okay, so they're adding more unusual locations, which is great. I like the system of unusual locations. So they're bringing it up to 40, and the original 20 will be more available to other factions now, where previously they were quite focused on the Order-Tide factions. So this is all great. And we've got... there are the list of them, but we don't have the actual effects of it. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Camera blood spatter. Okay, so this is gonna be interesting to read. Okay, you have to keep in mind, I kind of know the history of Creative Assembly better than Creative Assembly. A bit of unexpected addition perhaps, but we've decided to bring over Total War Warhammer 3 to the camera blood spatter feature from Total War Pharaoh. Is it from Total War Pharaoh? Is it though? Because it's actually from Shogun 2. Okay, it's not from Pharaoh. It's from Shogun 2. It's a feature that has been in a previous Total War game a long time ago, which of course they don't remember. And they're like, they just forgot about it, I guess. Look, maybe what they mean though is that specifically they copy and paste it from Pharaoh, because obviously the effects of it is different. The actual visual effects is different, but the fact that there is blood spatter on the camera screen, that was originally introduced into Shogun 2, and we didn't see it again until... I didn't even know it was in Pharaoh because I haven't played it. Anyway, so but that's good. You know, adding these visual effects. I'm sure some people will like it. It'd probably be quite annoying if you're trying to focus on it. But that being said, if you're trying to focus, you're probably not zooming in. So yeah, I'm sure it's just a net positive for this. But yeah, overall, this is good stuff. I'm not trying to complain about it. I'm just saying it's from Shogun 2, by the way. So audio. So this is some interesting stuff as well. Wulfric, Throg, and Alberic's voice lines have been improved. Wulfric, I think it's the original voice actor for him. He's just getting some additional lines, bringing him up to actually communicate with Warhammer 3 characters without it sounding generic. Throg's got like an entirely new set of voice lines because that's one of the big complaints. He's not supposed to sound like an absolute moron because even though he is a troll, he's supposed to be quite intelligent even amongst like other characters. He's not supposed to be as dumb as he sounds, which is still smarter than most trolls, or all other trolls. And then Alberic de Bordelot actually doesn't have a unique voice line. They're just the generic Lord voice line, so he's getting his own as well. So that's great. Let's wait and see with that. It says here, using the actor welcoming back Christopher Hespel. I don't know who that is. Maybe it's the same guy that voices Lewin Leoncoeur. Maybe? Which I think is also the same guy that did Napoleon, and also from all the way back to like Medieval 2, the French. So that's great. That's great. So it'd be interesting if Alberic and Lewin Leoncoeur have the same voice actor. But again, I'm just guessing here, but I don't know for certain. And then just account keeping stuff like making sure you link your access so you can get access to the FLC and so that they can put malware on your computer. No, I'm just kidding. They probably don't do that, but I don't know. I wouldn't say they're definitely not doing it. I just don't know. So, they gotta track what you guys are doing so that they can do that end of year report on how many campaigns of Karl Franz you guys are playing. Which they can't track that if you actually play offline, because how are you supposed to? Actually, maybe the game still tracks it and then just sends the information when you do go online. I don't know. I have no idea how that stuff works. But overall, seems like a pretty good patch. I was really happy with patch 6.2 with the item rework. update. That end up being something that I regularly focus on now because it's a lot more predictable. There are a lot more items. The items are currently better, so almost all the disaster battles I get now, I'm just always going in and just adjusting some equipment. Makes a big difference. So seeing these effects here for the Tomb Kings, that definitely definitely gives me some incentive to go back in and play another campaign as the Tomb Kings. Lizardmen stuff, yeah, a bit. But I don't think the Lizardmen stuff is quite as interesting. Apart from the Blessed stuff, I definitely like that because I do like to get like a full stack of Blessed Saurus warriors for Gorok, and the previous system having to wait for Gorok and for Krokgar. The previous system have to wait for missions. It just entire campaign, 100 turns. It was just like I'd end up getting like 5 of them if I was lucky. I'd have to rely on confederating other factions that had recruited them in order to get a full army of Blessed units. But now, if it's just a resource that I can use to spend, that'd be interesting. I'm also curious to see if by purchasing it, it increases the price of the next one, similar to I guess how the what's it called, the Beastmen spend dread, which I have no problem with. I'm just curious, that's all, because we don't have all the full effects of this. But yeah, this is all really good stuff. I hope you guys are liking what you see here. Let me know in the comments below. Give me your feedback on the changes proposed here. Because there's still got a week to adjust anything if you've got a problem with anything or you want anything improved. Like I said, I'd really, really like it if they gave us back 1% extra global income for the entrepreneur trait for the High Elves and also for knowledgeable. You know, if there is now a trait that provides 30%, where is it? Down here. This one here, if it provides 30% character experience gain, and currently knowledgeable provides just 15% character experience gain, which I thought was shit when they changed it, because I can't remember what it was originally, when Warhammer 3 was terrible, and then they changed it to something else, which was also not that good. Surely, if knowledgeable remains at 15%, it makes it vastly inferior to everything else. So hopefully there are additional effects of that, and we just haven't seen it. Please give us back like one Winds of Magic faction-wise. That'd be great. But then they'll probably make it so that you have to have the character available on the campaign map in order for it to take effect, and that's fine. That'll be particularly useful for factions that don't have supply lines, but whatever. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your feedback in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.